Hello and welcome to the Political Nigerian channel again. Here we are advocating that citizens of Nigeria should get actively involved in the political and governance process of the country. In our last video, we looked at the topic around referendum, whether in Nigeria of today, with our 1999 constitution as amended, it is possible for anyone to conduct a referendum. We have seen from that video that the law as we have it today does not allow it. And so rather than spending energies over things that are not underpinned by law, whether domestic or international, we should be looking at directing our energies in places that will bear more fruits and more effectively too. And we did promise in that video that we were going to look at another variant of the agitation of some Nigerians, which variant is self-determination. If you recall, some few months ago at the UN General Assembly, we had some Nigerians, our brothers and sisters, who went to the Rockefeller building, carrying placards, demanding for self-determination. They wanted the UN to come into that discussion of self-determination of certain segments of the Nigerian peoples. Their grievance is against the Nigerian state. And we also saw that there was a counter group purportedly sponsored by the federal government of Nigeria that carried their own placard to counter what the self-determination people were saying, even though many of us were just laughing our heads out, because if it is true that that group was sponsored by the government, they had absolutely no reason to sponsor any group for that, because international law is clear. The practice is there for any sincere person to see that, yes, in the UN Charter of 1945, enshrined in that charter is the right to self-determination. The right to self-determination, though, is in a particular context. And anything outside of that context would be a waste of time, really. And so that is why some of us thought what the government did trying to counter the voice of the self-determinationists was not necessary. But it did make for a good comic relief seeing both sides. Now, to the issue of self-determination. Those crying for self-determination in Nigeria. What does it really mean when the UN Charter talks about self-determination? For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be sharing a United Nations study done sometime in 1981 regarding this very issue of self-determination, so that we'll be properly guided. And then from a point of knowledge, we will know whether carrying placards from Abuja to London to America, screaming self-determination at the top of our lungs, is the way to spend our resources and energies in getting us good governance or not. So I'm going to share the document now. Just one moment. Yeah, so here goes. Let me make it a little bolder. Yes, so the title of the document is a United Nations document, like I mentioned. The title of the document is The Right to Self-Determination, Historical and Current Development on the Basis of the United Nations Instrument. So I'm trying to follow what has been the practice rather than what we would want. And so I hope those are our brothers and sisters who are carrying placards all over the world are listening. So I will go straight to paragraph 17 of this document. In paragraph 17, meanwhile, this is a document that you can Google and get for free. It used to cost about $11 back in the days, but today it's just Google it. The PDF version is free. Okay, and then at your own time you can go through some stuff. Now I want to look at paragraph 17. I've highlighted some parts of the document that I think will be relevant to this discussion, to this video. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll just pick a select few so the video doesn't get too long and possibly boring. So in paragraph 17, at the 6th meeting of the committee, held in San Francisco, this was when the United Nations was formed. This was when the charter actually came into effect and all. But this is the part I want us to look at. If you can see my cursor here, on the side that this principle corresponded closely to the will and desires of peoples everywhere and should be clearly enunciated in the charter. On the other side, that the principle conformed to the purpose of the charter only insofar as it applied to right of self-government of peoples and not the right of secession. The first time I saw this paragraph, my head was like, gosh, what is this? Because many of our brothers and sisters, I think they have somehow confused secession for self-determination. Because the sound bites we are getting from this group is secession. Forget the grammar they are throwing around, self-secession. And the UN understood this as far back as 1945 when it was being created. In fact, this 1981 study went further to break things down for people to understand that you can't use the clamor for self-determination, as a guise for secession. We will see more. When the UN was talking about self-determination way back in 1945, it was in the context of colonial countries, colonial peoples. In fact, that charter criminalized it, that you couldn't force a people to be under your yoke if they didn't want to. It was criminal. And the charter went ahead to even encourage countries to support any colonial peoples or territory whose belief is that they wanted to emancipate themselves. I hope I'm correct with that word. They wanted to rule themselves. They wanted to self-govern. If they so wish to self-govern, other countries should assist them. All of that was enshrined in the 1945 UN Charter. And so it's important for us to know in what context self-determination applies from the lenses of the United Nations. I want to look at paragraph 23. In Paragraph 23. The principles of the right to self-determination is established indirectly in Article 76 of the Charter. And that's Chapter 12. International Trusteeship System. Now, we have had this kind of experience very close to us in Nigeria. The reason why I looked at, sorry, I've not shared that bit. This is paragraph 23. The reason why I looked at paragraph 23 was because we had something like this. Not something like this. It was exactly this in Cameroon and in Togo. But let me take the Cameroon example because Cameroon is closest to us. After the First World War, 1918, 1919, thereabouts, Cameroon used to be a colony of Germany. But when they lost the First World War, under the League of Nations that was formed, the League of Nations is the senior brother to the United Nations. The League of Nations failed. But under the League of Nations that was formed, Cameroon, German Cameroon, was now given to France and Britain in trusteeship to administer. And so in Cameroon, you had French Cameroon, which was the largest part, and then you had the British Cameroons, both north and south. Now, those places were in trusteeship. So British Cameroons, north and south, were under British administration, while French Cameroon was under French administration. Now, by 1959, a plebiscite held. Southern Cameroon was what used to be administered along. Southern British Cameroon used to be administered along with the Southern Protectorate of Nigeria, and Northern British Cameroon along with the Northern Protectorate of Nigeria. But the first referendum that was held in those two territories, when Britain made it clear that, okay, Nigeria was going to be having their independence soon, and they didn't want to have anything to do with administering issues with Northern Cameroon, Southern Cameroon, because these places were in their colonies. They were just given to them to administer in trusteeship with the United Nations now. So a plebiscite was held. The first plebiscite that was held, the people didn't want to belong to anywhere. But in 1961, another set of plebiscites were held. The Northern British Cameroons decided to join Nigeria. Now, this was in 1961. We had become an independent state. Northern British Cameroon decided to join Nigeria in that referendum. Southern British Cameroon decided to join the French Cameroon, which had also become independent. Don't forget, they used to be administered along with Southern Nigeria. But they said they were oppressed, they were marginalized during that setting. So they didn't want to belong to Nigeria because of their experience. So they opted in that referendum to join French Cameroon. Those are the Ambazonians that are carrying weapons and, causing mayhem in Southern Cameroon today. That's a story and topic for another day. Now, that was how those referendum occurred under UN inspection. The reason why I'm bringing this is to let us see that there have been practice of how these things apply, whether it is referendum you're looking at, or it is a clamor for self-determination or self-rule, as some people will want to put it. Now, I would like to move on to paragraph 48 of this same document to throw more light on the context in which the UN sees self-determination. Now, if you see here in paragraph 48, the resolution concerning the implementation of the Declaration on the granting of independence to colonial countries and peoples and the elimination of colonialism, which were adopted by the General Assembly from its 21st session in 1966 and its 29th session in 1974, recognized the legitimacy of the struggle of the colonial peoples and peoples under alien domination to exercise their right to self-determination and independence by all means necessary at their disposal. Please take notice of the last few words. Right to self-determination and independence by all the necessary means at their disposal. Very strong words. But the context is for colonial peoples or peoples under alien domination. So the question now is, our brothers and sisters that are carrying placard everywhere and screaming self-determination, is it under this context that they are asking for self-determination? Are we under alien domination? Are we somehow, are we being colonized, and by who? These are some of the questions it seems we've not given consideration to. So when we carry placards to these places that we carry placards to, they look at us. They look at us. They really look at us, and then they look into the international instrument upon which such requests can be made. If you look at paragraph 49, I want to go to let me go straight to part B. Colonial peoples have the inherent right to struggle by all necessary means at their disposal against colonial powers which suppress their aspiration for freedom and independence. Nigeria case not dey like this now. Nigeria case not dey like this. If you look at C, member states should render all necessary moral and material assistance to the people of colonial territories in their struggle to attain freedom and independence. The point here is this. We can see how strongly worded the UN provision is for self-determination. Self-determination of colonial peoples. We can't apply this to ourselves. So we are an independent sovereign nation since 1960. And so our definition of, well, not our definition, the definition of self-determination by those people carrying placard all over the world would have to be scrutinized. What do they mean by self-determination? I would like to show another paragraph. This time I want to see paragraph 173 and possibly 174. So I'll scroll down quickly. Which one is that? No, let me leave this one. Paragraph 173 and paragraph 174. Please, you forgive me if this looks a little bit academic, because me, I know the two like academic stuff. They easily get boring, but the matter at hand is very serious, and we need to go into the books so that we can be properly guided as a people. Now, this is paragraph 57. In fact, I've highlighted it in in so many different colors. Interesting. 173, paragraph 173. The principle of equal right and self-determination is laid down in the Charter of the United Nations. As laid down in the Charter of the United Nations, does not grant an unlimited right of secession to populations living in the territory of an independent sovereign state. And such a right cannot be regarded as a provision of lex lata. Lawyers don't go kill us. Those in law, they will understand what that means. But you can Google it too. The meaning is there. Thank God for Google. A right of secession supported or encouraged by foreign state would clearly be in glaring contradiction with the respect for territorial integrity in which the principles of sovereign equality of state is based. It would be dangerous to recognize in international law a general and unlimited right of secession for the rights of a population living in the territory of a given state are governed by the national constitutional law of that state. The right of secession unquestionably exists. However, in a special but very important case, that of peoples, territories, and entities subjugated in violation of international law. So here the UN is trying to make us see what and where and how self-determination can apply. Here in paragraph 174, it makes it clear, I'll just take it from here, it makes it clear that the principle of equal right and self-determination is not to be applied to parts of the territory of a sovereign state. Such a provision is needed in order to prevent the principles from being applied in favor of secessionist movements in independent states. Now, these are all UN interpretations of what self-determination is. The same UN we are carrying placards to up and down. Spend unnecessary amount of dollars to buy plane tickets to fly to various capitals of the world and United Nations. Money we will for take build more classroom for the schools where we attend. You know, those of us who attended public schools, you know, when our parents don't get money to send us go nursery school. Now Takara, when we go, you know, those schools that require funding by those of us who attended them. There is nothing wrong. Rather than taking money to buy ticket to go carry placard in the UN, use that ticket money to go buy blackboards or white. Now it's whiteboard. Our days we use blackboard. Whiteboards for your school that you attended, primary or secondary. We are directing, or rather misdirecting our funds and energies in places where it shouldn't go to. Now, the reason why I've shared that document is so that we can see how we are sending valuable resources to endeavors that will be futile. Okay? Rather than going to the United Nations and carrying placard and calling for self-determination when we know that what you want to do is to secede. Let us do what we have not done. These things are procedural. We have not held leadership to account in this country. We have not held our government to account in this country. Our laws enable us to do so. We are shying away from it. We are running after shadows. We run a representative democracy. We have representatives at the National Assembly. But many of us, we don't know who our representatives are, let alone engage them. In a previous video, we showed how you can reach your representatives. But you see, those representatives, they are a spitting replica of you and I, the followers. Their behavior not good, if you understand what I mean. You want to reach out to them, they will first of all ignore you. But there is only so much that they can ignore. We have to insist on engaging with them. That previous video will pop up somewhere toward the end of this one. But then, considering the times we're living in, I've been thinking about some other ways, probably more effective ways of engaging with these people than the conventional way that we know. Normally, they are supposed to come hold constituency meetings, right? I don't know how many Nigerians have attended a constituency meeting with their representative, whether your senator, your House of Rep member, even your State House of Assembly member. I don't know how many of us have their emails or phone numbers. How many of them know their constituency office in our respective constituencies? We need to engage these people. Engage them first. Let the world see that you are holding your government to account according to your laws of your own country. Before you start carrying placards up and down to go to places, and look, it won't help us. It won't help us. Let us direct our energies to the places where it will have maximum impact. And we must do it. We must do it in a way that doesn't make us look like people that are rudderless, people without law. We'll see you in another video.